In this video, we will explore the 3 different trails that get to the summit of Maiden Peak. Sitting in the Cascade Range at 7,800 feet is this shield-shaped volcano topped with a cinder cone named Maiden Peak. The number 3 seems to be a lucky number around Maiden Peak. The summit trails are in 3 different counties: Lane, Deschutes, and Klamath. The first trail comes from the west at Gold Lake. From the east is Maiden Lake Trail. From the south is Rosary Lakes Trail, which meets up with the other 2 trails. We will see a bit from each of these trails, which are all unique in their own way. The name Maiden Peak has an unknown origin. The Matt..Cook.Oregon Geographic Names book has the most likely origin of it being named in contradistinction to the 3 Sisters and Mount Bachelor. The first route we will see is the eastern Maiden Lake Trail. This trailhead is found at Forest Road 4660. This is the shortest path up Maiden Peak summit with only an 8-mile round trip. Ahsoka joined me on all my trips to Maiden Peak. The trail goes until a fork between the summit and Maiden Lake. It is the steepest of the 3 trails as it has the shortest mileage with the same elevation gain as the others. Here is the fork in the trail where the left goes to Maiden Lake and right goes to Maiden Peak. From there, it is a quick walk to the lake, so it is worth checking out before or after the summit. Maiden Lake is the smallest of a few lakes we'll see on these trails. It can be reached by both Maiden Lake Trail and Rosary Lakes Trail, which we will see later. The lake makes for a great overnight base camp for summiting Maiden Peak. Surrounded by tree-covered hills, there aren't many views to be had here. After taking a break at the lake, it is time to get back on the Maiden Peak Trail. The second half of this trail gets way more steep until it reaches the summit. But before checking out the summit, we will see the other 2 trails. The second trail up Maiden Peak is Rosary Lakes Trail. The trailhead is right off of Highway 58, right by Willamette Pass. Much of this route is part of the Pacific Crest Trail. This is the longest of all the routes up Maiden Peak, being a 17-mile round trip. The first part of this trail goes by the 3 Rosary Lakes. After a pretty flat and easy 3 miles in, you will arrive at the first of 3 Rosary Lakes. These 3 Rosary Lakes were named because they resemble a string of beads, like a Catholic rosary necklace. Lower Rosary Lake is the largest of the 3 lakes. They are all a pretty similar experience, calm mountain lakes that would make a great campsite or lunch spot. There's a creek coming from the lakes that was renamed from Maiden Creek to Rosary Creek back in the 30s. Middle Rosary Lake provides the closest view of Pulpit Rock, which is named in reference to a preacher's stand. Right next to Middle Rosary Lake is its twin lake, Upper Rosary Lake. Rosary Lakes are surrounded by good camp spots. I would highly recommend this as 17 miles in a day is a bit long. After enjoying the lakes, you can continue up the trail to Maiden Peak. Here there are 2 options. Go north up Maiden Peak Saddle to join the trail from Gold Lake, or go east and join Maiden Lake Trail from earlier. Both ways reach the summit with about 17-mile round trip. Before reaching the summit, it is time to check out the 3rd trail up Maiden Peak. The 3rd and final summit route is from Gold Lake on Forest Road 500. This is the most popular of the 3 summit trails. This 11-mile round-trip trail crosses the PCT at the halfway point, as well as a few other trails before reaching the summit. Skyline Creek is one of the first things you will cross. It is the only water source you will see on this trail. One of the trail crossings takes you over to Maiden Peak Saddle and back to Rosary Lakes Trail from earlier. This also takes you to Maiden Peak Shelter, which I visited earlier in the year. With Willamette Pass ski area right next to it and all the snow-friendly trails, Maiden Peak is a very popular winter recreation area. All these signs that were so high up are at a good height when there's snow. In the winter, navigation is a bit more important as you can't see the trail as easily. Usually, you take this path off the trail to the shelter, but I saw a skier's path off to the right that seemed like a shortcut. The snow on this trail was very deep, and eventually I realized that I had made a mistake taking it. Oof. The downhill skiers that made this path have a much easier time gliding over the snow. I probably should have turned around at any time, but Ahsoka and I kept at it in hopes of connecting back to the main path. Eventually, I got back to the main path and found the Maiden Peak shelter.
Hi.
This is a very nice public cabin with a stove, furniture, and can officially sleep 15 people.
Hey. How's it going? Pretty good.
After some time went by, many people found their way to the cabin, and the maximum capacity of 15 would be tested.
That's a CBD one, so you're not going to get high, but it's going to help you.
Fortunately, Ahsoka and I brought a tent for a nice quiet sleep. Back to the Maiden Peak Trail where we left off. Instead of going right to the saddle, you head straight to get to the summit. Like the other two trails, the second half is the really steep part. In addition to hiking and snow sports, this area is very popular for mountain biking because of its vast and maintained trails. As you get closer to the top, the trees start to thin out, giving a preview of the summit views. There was a perfect window to Mount Thielsen that I just had to get a shot of. With its unique and pointy summit, Thielsen is easy to spot from all around Oregon. One final trail crossing is the Maiden Lake Trail from earlier. After all three trails merging into one, we have the final steep part to the summit. White bark pines start to make an appearance near the summit, just like many Oregon mountains. Next to this mountain biker, I was the first person to the summit on this day. There's a great campsite at the top for those who can carry enough water to camp up there. Once there was a fire lookout tower here that was decommissioned in the 50s. I would guess that is because there are other nearby fire lookouts that have full roads leading to them. This mound of rocks marks the true summit of Maiden Peak. Maiden Peak is roughly 250,000 years old. On the northeast side is a large cirque, which was created by past glacial activity. The most important part of the summit experience is to enjoy yourself and relax up top. The 360 views from this peak are amazing. Newberry can be seen in the distance, our favorite volcanic monument. Next is a large body of water called Crane Prairie Reservoir, which is a very popular spot for boating and fishing. Looking north, you have quite a few cascade peaks, including Mount Bachelor, which is known for its ski resort. Then you have Broken Top, my favorite cascade peak, which I have another summit video of. The Three Sisters, which might be the source for Maiden Peak's name along with Mount Bachelor. Another group of 3 mountains you can see are Three Fingered Jack, Jefferson, and Washington. Once we start looking northwest, we see the giant Waldo Lake. This is one of the more pure lakes due to boating restrictions and minimal plant growth. Then Mount Fuji, which is a nearby smaller peak, also popular for mountain biking. Willamette Pass is the closest peak, which is another ski area. Behind that is the largest nearby mountain, Diamond Peak. Another nearby large lake is Odell Lake. In the distance to the south are 3 more big peaks: Mount Bailey, Thielsen, and Mount Scott. Ahsoka and I had done a lot of hiking for this video, so we enjoyed a long and well-earned break. Alright, well that is Maiden Peak. Hope you enjoyed that. Fun mountain. Lots of real good views up here for sure. We're going to enjoy a couple more views and then head back down. I hope you enjoyed this extensive look at Maiden Peak and the 3 trails to its summit. Please subscribe or find me again for more Oregon outdoor videos.